Welcome back to What's Your Story Live, episode 10. I am Leilani Langdon, your host, and this is a space where we get to journey along with others who are sharing their story so that we can be inspired to know, own, and share ours. And so come on in. As you're coming in, you know the deal. If you are part of the What's Your Story community, let me know you're here. Say hi. If this is your first time, Evie, girl, you are the first one every single time. Love that you're here to show support. But if this is your first time tuning in and joining our community, go ahead and let me know where you're watching from. I want to shout you out. I want to recognize you on here. So go ahead and drop your highs. But as always, What's Your Story is a safe space where we journey along with others. And the chat is not just one of the most encouraging and affirming live chats I have ever been a part of. And I'm so grateful that I get to have my Sunday night with you guys. But more importantly, I want to remind you guys that this is a judgment-free zone. There are people who are courageously sharing their story. And so we are about affirming, encouraging, loving, showing support, not just for those watching, but for those who are sharing in the chat. I mean, we've had moments where people have poured their hearts out because they're being inspired by what they're watching. And so it's awesome to see you guys loving on them. And so as you come in, drop your hellos. Hey, Marcy girl, good to see you. So happy you're here. And let me know where you're watching from. And as always, we get started with our What's Your Story highlight. But before we do that, I do have an announcement I want to make, and I want you guys to mark your calendar. So May 9th is Mother's Day. And in honor of Mother's Day, this mom is going to take a break. And we are not going to have a live What's Your Story show. We will have a What's Your Story show, but it will be pre-recorded. And so I just want you to know that I'll be joining in the comments with you guys, and we'll be having our similar experience. It's just not going to be live because Leilani is going to be enjoying her Mother's Day at home, not having to prep. And so Ryan, hey, good to see you, Ryan. Hope you're not driving today. Gio, how you doing, girl? Good to see you. Pam, Adrian, hello from, I was about to sing it. Hello from the other side. Right in the wall behind me. But as always, guys, it's so good that you're here. We jump into our What's Your Story highlight. And now if this is your first time watching, our What's Your Story highlight is an opportunity where we get to celebrate those of you who are watching and are taking part and are journeying with us and who are being inspired to know, own, and share your stories. And so we get to do that here. So, hey, Crystal, Vanessa, good to see you, girl. Listen. So I'm going to need you to get your party hats ready because we are going to celebrate our What's Your Story highlight today. Yes, Adrian, Mother's Day is May 9th, so get it together. Here we go. What's Your Story highlight today is coming from one of our anonymous What's Your Story community individuals. And here we go. It says, let me take this off. It says, I was so blessed after hearing Glady and Mike's story that God convicted me to log on that night. As a result of logging on, I'm moving forward with what God is leading me to do. And that is to launch a new business. I was praying about needing God to make room for me to start. And I spoke to my employer and I was ready to resign. However, God had other plans and I was able to drastically reduce my hours, giving me the space that I needed to focus on this new venture. I was also inspired to talk to my husband about moving forward with paying off our mortgage. Yes, I'm so inspired to pursue my dreams, and being able to hear these stories helps me know I'm not alone. Thank you for the opportunity to hear and see these stories. Guys, let's show some love and celebrate our What's Your Story community member who was inspired by Mike and Glady's story to not only just go into a new venture completely, but as a result of their story last week, she was moved towards paying off their mortgage. And so listen, I don't know about you, but I'm just so excited for them and their journey that they're going to be starting as a result of being inspired to know your story. And as always, if you have been inspired to know, own, or share your story, DM me with your inspiration so that we can celebrate you, we can highlight you, and we can share your story with our community. Yes, Ryan says yes. Ryan knows that debt-free life. But guys, so did you know, we're jumping into our did you know moment. Did you know that researchers at Harvard recently discovered that having a purpose in life may decrease your risk of dying early? People without a strong life purpose were more than twice as likely to die. Yes, I'm pausing. The connection between having a low level of purpose in life and death remained true no matter whether they were rich or poor, whether they had just no matter of gender, race, education level. And researchers found that the connection is so powerful to having a life purpose that it seemed to be more important for decreasing the risk of death than drinking, we know that, smoking, but check this one out, or exercising regularly. The need for meaning and purpose is number one. It's the deepest driver of well-being. So the fact that this research has shown that living a purposeful life decreases your risk of dying by twice as much just shows the importance of leaning in to living a meaningful and powerful and fulfilled life. Now, what if I told you that purpose is found at the intersection of your story and God's calling? So now, so many of us, right? So many of us have had this question. We ask ourselves, what am I here for? Right? What was I created for? What should I be doing with my life? Right? We hear the stories. Okay, go to school, get a degree, get a job. Okay, and then what? Right? Is there fulfillment in that? Some of us don't find fulfillment in those things. And so, but God has given us something unique, and that's our story. And listen, your story has purpose and meaning embedded all throughout it. And the way to extract that meaning is by sitting with it. It's by reflecting. It's by walking through it and becoming aware of your experiences and how they can point you to impact and finding fulfillment. I mean, we see it every single week. We see it every single week on What's Your Story? People sharing their experiences, right? People having sat with their stories, reflecting on them, extracting meaning, and as a result of that, have been inspired to live a fulfilled life. So, if you have ever asked yourself that question, if you've ever asked yourself that question, what am I here for? I want you to lean into your story. I want you to tune in to the experiences that God has allowed you to go through and where is the meaning found in them. And so if you've ever had that question and you're not sure where to start, go and click on the link in my description box because you can find a writing guide, a free writing guide that'll help you start that process. But I want to remind you that your purpose is found at the intersection of your story and God's calling. Listen, Derek Williams says, I'm about to start stealing your did you knows and I might not give you credit. Listen, that's all right, Derek. You're part of our fam. So listen, sharing is caring. Go ahead and take them. Leah, good to see you, girl. Agent says, yeah, I was thinking the other day that purpose, ... Yes, purpose is found at the intersection of your story and God's calling. All right, guys. Without further ado, we are going to bring up our guest who I see dancing in the back. I think we're gonna have to have like a little song segment. I think Leslie Samuel.
What's up?
I was,
Hello.
you know what? I was like, man, we need to have like, I need to have like a special song for when guests come up, like.
I want you to sing right now. Just go ahead and sing. Let's just do it.
No. I should have
No?
had you bring your piano so you can be playing
Hold on, let me go get
piano.
it.
No.
I'm gonna go get it.
No.
No, not right. Oh, sorry.
No, we're good. Next time. You know what? I'm
Okay,
gonna have
cool.
you write a jingle for us. How about
Oh,
that?
okay,
You
cool,
write
cool,
a you
cool.
write a little jingle for our What's Your Story family. But guys, in the comments, go ahead and share some love. Let Leslie know that you are excited to have him here. Leslie, tell us a little bit about yourself, and we'll go from there.
Yes, my name is Leslie.
And
No,
what?
I'm just joking. All right, so my name is Leslie. I am originally from the beautiful Caribbean island of St. Martin, living in
Hey,
Florida with my wife and two kids.
beautiful
I am
kids.
a business coach for online entrepreneurs, and I've been doing that full time since 2014. This is what I do. This is what I love. And there's a whole lot more to that. But that's a little bit about who I am.
Yes, we are so excited you're on here. Don't let Maddie hear that you are bringing your piano, Leslie. Uh-oh, we have some fans, some super fans out here of your piano ministry.
Yes,
So,
indeed.
so guys, if you're watching live, I just want to remind you that throughout the journey that we're going to be going on with Leslie, you can ask him any questions, right? And we're going to answer them at the end. And go ahead and hashtag questions so that we can find them while we're going through
Dutch
his
side.
story.
Sorry, I had to interrupt because Ryan is asking Dutch side or French side. Dutch side, sir. The best side, you know?
Wait,
Yeah.
I'm confused. For what? Wait, I'm
No, St.
confused.
Martin is
Oh,
the smallest place on the planet that is divided into two countries. It's 37 square miles and it's two countries within that. And I'm from the Dutch side.
interesting. Look, that's a did you know? I
Did
didn't
you
know that.
know?
I didn't
Did
know
you
that.
know?
Ryan clearly knows. Go ahead, Ryan, with your geographical knowledge. I think I failed geography. Was it? What's not geology? Did you
You
fail?
obviously failed. You failed. Yep. You
So
did.
we ain't gonna talk about that because it's not about me. But Vanessa says, "Hey Leslie, all right,
Hi,
well
Vanessa.
Leslie." Oh, he says they have a timeshare on the Dutch side,
Oh,
Oyster Bay.
nice.
So, but Leslie, go ahead and tell us what's your story.
Wait, I'm supposed to like share it here?
Leslie, listen, you about to get fired,
Wait.
okay?
Oh, okay. Let me come up with a story real quick. Um, do I start now?
Yes, Leslie, what's your
Okay,
story?
okay. All right, let's do this. So my story starts. Uh, let's start around 2006.
Hmm.
In 2006, I got married to my wife. So that's when everything starts, right?
Yes.
And we started working at a boarding academy, Great Lakes Adventist Academy. And I was teaching science and math there. She was teaching music. And while we were
Hmm.
there, um, you know, first time making an actual income, not a huge income, but we were making an income.
Yeah.
Um, Things were good. We're paying the bills. We're doing what we need to do. Um, but I started kind of getting this urge to do something more. And I
Hmm.
remember one day I was browsing online and I found a website that was talking about these people that were making money on the internet. And I'd always been fascinated with that idea. And I had tried a few things in the past and I'd gotten scammed and, all
Hmm.
kinds of
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah.
But I decided to give this thing a go. And it was one of those situations where it's those freebie websites. You go there, you complete offers, and you refer your friends, and then you get like a free iPod, or because back then iPods were the
iPod.
things.
That's a
Or
throwback. I had to like think about that for a second.
exactly, right? Or a free TV. The TV, we still have the TV that I got for free back then.
Stop.
But I started learning about how you could use those websites to make some money. So I
Mm.
started making money using those websites.
Wow.
Then the way I was making money with those websites is I was going to these forums with people that were looking to complete these offers and so on. So it made it relatively easy. But there was one issue, and that was if I wanted to continue making money, I had to constantly be in the forums and asking people, answering people's questions and so on. And it was taking a lot out of me. And then I started to hear about blogging. And I learned about blogging from the concept of you can create this website on the internet and put content out there, and people would start finding you. They would start finding your
Interesting.
stuff. So I said, hey, let me set up a blog about freebie websites. And I set up a blog. My name was the Freebie Guy. That was the
Really?
blog. Yeah, I was the Freebie Guy. That's what I was known on the interwebs as. Um,
Interweb.
yeah. So people would start finding my blog, and they would come and they would do business with me, and they would complete these offers, and I would make some money. So then I started getting fascinated by this concept of blogging. And as I was learning about it, I was also teaching, hey, these are the things that I'm learning. Here's how you set up a blog.
Wow.
This is
Yeah,
the
yeah,
kind of
yeah.
content you want to create when you're doing a blog. Here's how you turn it into a business and start making some money. So I was teaching people how to blog while I was learning how
Learning.
to blog.
Interesting.
And I was teaching people how to do it in a way to make some money.
Wow.
Now, here's the thing, right? I wasn't excited about freebies necessarily. I didn't really care. That wasn't something that, like, oh, I
Yeah,
wake up in the
moved you.
morning,
Yes.
freebies.
I'm the freebie guy.
Yeah, the freebie guy. Woo! And I also I mean, obviously we need money, and you got to live, you got to pay your bills,
Right.
you got to do all this stuff.
Yeah.
Teaching people about money, I mean, I kind of enjoy it, but not fully. Now, there was something else that I really enjoyed, and that was biology. So I wanted to kind of do this experiment, like the stuff that I was learning. I was learning about business and marketing and building a blog of that kind of stuff, and it was going well.
Yeah.
Could I take those same principles and apply them to biology? And if I did that, how would it grow? How could I make money from that?
Yeah.
Because part of the story is I had wanted to be a university professor. I did a bachelor's in biology. I did a master's in neurobiology, and the plan was to go on and get a PhD in neurobiology so that I could teach at a university.
Got it.
But in the process of doing my master's, I realized that I hated doing the research. And if you know anything about being a professor, it kind of has some research in there.
A lot.
So
Yeah.
I said, you know what, forget that. I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to teach at this high school. But right then I was thinking to myself, well, okay, I don't have a PhD. I can't be a professor. But what if I just taught the stuff that I wanted to teach? I mean, I don't need a degree to teach people biology. So I started my blog, a biology blog, and started making videos on YouTube, and it really just started taking off, and it started growing like crazy. I remember the first month I got 400 people there, and I was like, "Whoa, 400 people! I could never. I don't think I'll ever have 400 people in a classroom."
True.
And the next month, 800, and the next month,
Wow.
1,200. And then it went up to 2,000. And then it just continued going up to, 4,000. And then eventually it got to a place where I was getting 100,000 people there in a month
Wow.
consuming this content that I'm
Wow.
creating, university level
Crazy.
content, as if I'm a professor, but I'm not. I don't got no PhD.
That's a word
I'm
for
not a
somebody.
professor. I don't play one on TV or anything of that sort. But I was creating the stuff that I was
Crazy.
passionate about, and it was providing value to people
Wow.
all across the globe. And to me, it was extremely rewarding. I remember I got an email from a lady that she just got kind of thrown into this school where she was teaching in an inner city, and they didn't have money for textbooks. They didn't have any money for, any of the things that you should have at a school.
Yeah.
And she just didn't know what to do. And she found my biology blog and my videos, and she started using that to teach her class.
What?
And I remember she said in her email, "Thank you so much for what you are doing. You are
Wow.
keeping me, my family, and an inner city school afloat."
Wow.
And when I
That's
heard that,
huge.
I mean, it was a huge deal to me. So I'm creating this content online. It's
Yeah.
having an impact. It is reaching people that, didn't have access to good education. And just by me creating this content, instead of like holding it in, creating it and putting it out there, it
Yes.
was able to do those kinds of things.
Wow.
Now, fast forward a little bit. Actually, let me tell you this part of the story.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
I remember that, I don't know if I've shared, anyhow, it doesn't matter. I remember I'm in my biology class. I'm getting ready to start biology. I get a call from my mom,
Okay.
and my mom is crying.
Hmm.
And I'm like, what's
Yeah,
happening? Like,
you're a little
what's going on?
nervous.
Students are going into class, and she told me, my dad, something's wrong with my dad. She
Hmm.
said his blood pressure went up to 220 over something,
Whoa. Yeah,
and then
yeah,
it
yeah.
went way down to like 80 over something, and then it just was flying all over the place, and they induced him into a coma, and they were getting ready to ship him, send airlift him to the country of Colombia because he was in St. Martin.
Oh my
So they were taking
gosh.
him to Colombia to figure out what in the world is going on. And I remember right then and there thinking to myself, because I had never lost anyone close to me
Yeah,
before,
yeah, yeah.
thinking to myself, oh my word, what if I were to lose my dad? And I
Woo.
started to freak out. I
Yeah, yeah,
told the
yeah.
students, y'all could just leave
Do whatever you want.
because I don't care what y'all do, but I have
Yeah,
to
yeah,
find a
yeah.
way to go to Colombia.
Woo.
All right. So now I go
Man.
talk to the principal, make a long story short, within a few days, I'm in Colombia. And
Wow.
I'm down there, and my dad is he's in a coma, and they're
Oh my
trying to
goodness.
figure out what's wrong with him. Now, I'm going to fast forward a little bit. There was a point when we were in Colombia that my mom was there, I was there, my sister was there, my aunt was there.
Mm.
And what we had to do with my dad was physical therapy. And they had a physical therapist there, but in between, I was the one that was doing his physical therapy. I would take his legs when he's in this coma, and I would be exercising his legs for him.
Mm.
And then at a certain point, you'd feel like he was trying to do something.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And as
Wow.
you're moving his leg, he is like
Yeah,
trying to do
reacting.
something. There's something going
Yeah.
on there. So you're like, okay, there's something there.
Mm.
Now, while we were down there, things were not looking good. I remember there was one day we came to during visiting hours, and then there's a point to this part of the story. But we're
Yeah.
there during visiting hours. 6:30 is supposed to be when they open that ward. 6:30 comes, they don't open it. Everybody is outside waiting to go in and see their family. 7 o'clock comes, they don't open it. 7:30 comes, they finally opened it an hour late, and they told people come in. And when we got to the door, they told us, you guys can't come in right now.
No. Mm-mm.
And when they told us that,
Mm-mm.
we were like, what do you mean?
Yeah.
And they said my dad tried to take out the tube that he had in, and it caused his lungs to collapse.
No.
And they didn't know if he was going to survive.
Woo.
Okay,
That's
so
hard. Woo.
while we were there, God took us on a journey.
Mm.
And on this journey, the question was, will you trust me?
Mm.
And to make a long story short, he brought me personally to a place where I could say, God, if my dad lives, I'm going to praise you.
Mm.
And if my dad dies,
Woo.
I'm going to praise you.
Mercy.
Because I know that all things work together for our good.
Wow. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And all of us made that decision.
Wow.
And when we made that decision, literally, that's when that day happened with my dad. And it was as if God was saying, okay, do you really mean it?
Mercy.
And we went home
Right.
that night, and we said, you know what? Yesterday we said, no, today, this morning we said, if he lives, we're going to praise God. If he
Yeah.
dies, we're going to praise God, because all
Mercy.
things work together
Woo.
for our good. And I remember my mom saying, gracias a Dios, es un milagro de Jesús. And she was just saying that over
Over and
and
over
over
again.
and over.
Mm.
And once we made that decision, within a few days, my dad was he was good. He was getting ready to be
Wow.
flown back home to St. Martin, and it was as if
Nothing happened.
not
Well.
all that stuff that he went through. It was as if he was there for months, and the doctors
Oh,
were there like, "What?
wow.
We don't even understand what's going on." And we were like,
Wow.
"We know what's going on." We decided that we're gonna praise God regardless,
Yes.
and He worked out a miracle.
Wow.
So
Crazy.
my job while I was down there was to exercise my dad when he was in a coma. And I got to see firsthand what physical therapy can do for a person. I got to
Mm.
move his legs, move his arms, and then see him start to try moving it himself. And then eventually
Wow.
see him move it himself. And within a few days, I got to see the magical whatever of
Yeah.
combining what God can do with
Yeah.
what
Woo.
professionals can do when it comes to
Talk
physical
about that.
therapy. All
Mm.
right. Now let's fast forward.
Mm.
I come
It's
back
good.
from Colombia. And when I come back, I go to the school to go to my classes. But before I go and I check the mail. And when I reach and I check the mail, there's a letter in the mailbox
Okay.
inviting me to apply to become a physical therapy professor
You're joking.
at inviting me to become to apply to become a physical therapy professor at Andrews University.
You
Now,
listen.
when I saw that,
Woo.
I heard, now let's do this. Like something is about to go down.
Mm.
I called Marguerite, my wife, and I said, because she knew everything that happened.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
when I picked up the phone and she answered, I said, I don't know what's going on, but there's a letter in the mail from the physical therapy department inviting me to apply to be a professor there. And she was kind of like, wait, what?
You're
Because she knew what
kidding.
happened. And I
Right.
said, something is about to go down.
Woo.
Now, mind you,
Mercy.
I'm not a professor. I don't have a PhD. I don't play one on TV. I don't know anything about physical therapy. I would be an anatomy professor. I never took anatomy. And they're inviting me to apply.
Oh my gosh.
Nothing makes sense. So I go ahead and I applied. And I called my professor that when I was doing my master's, and I asked him to go in and speak to
Wow.
them for me. He went in to speak to them. It didn't help at all because there were some issues there between the departments.
Oh my gosh.
And he basically told me, you know what? I think you should come in and talk to them. So I go in to talk to them, and I applied, and I go in to speak to the chair of the department. The chair of the department is kind of like, so, like, what? Why are you here? I'm like, well, I heard about the position and I applied, and I'm not qualified for the job,
Right.
but I wanted to show you some of the things that I was working on. And he was like, oh,
Okay.
I mean, I guess you can, sure. You could show me what you've been working on. So he takes me to his computer, and I pull up my website, and I started to go to some of the videos, and at a certain point, he was kind of like sitting back like this, like
Skeptical.
yeah. And then at a certain point, he was kind of like, wait, can I check this? And I'm like, yeah, sure. So he starts looking around, clicking around on the website. And then I remember this point very vividly. I'm standing here, he's sitting, looking at his computer. And he looked at me and he said, you did this?
Oh my gosh.
And I said, yeah. All of a sudden, he's a completely different person.
Stop.
He was like, this is very interesting. You know what? We weren't even going to consider you for this job. But now I'm going to make sure you at least get an interview.
Wow.
And then he was like, you know what? Let's go around right now and meet all of the people that are making the decisions. So now he's taking me around the department, bringing me to this first professor, and he's like, "Hey, this is Leslie Samuel. He's applying for the the anatomy professor job. He has this website," and then he started marketing me and promoting me. Like, I felt like I was his long lost child, and he was talking about like, yeah, he has these videos and da da da, and he takes me to the next person, and he's bragging about me, and I'm just walking around, and I'm like, yeah, hey, what's up? Long story short, I go in for the interview. And I told these guys, I said, you know what? I'm not qualified for this job. I don't have, and I told them I'm not qualified for this job. But then I told them what happened to me in Colombia. And I told them what I was able to experience there. Woof. And then I told them what happened with the letter, because there's really no reason that letter should have come to me.
Right.
And I told them about that. And I said to them, this is what I told them. I said, I'm not qualified for this job. And quite frankly, I don't think the decision is in your hands.
Stop.
But here's what I know. If I get this job, I'm going to praise God. If I don't get this job, I'm going to praise God.
Come on.
Because I know that all things work together for our good. And that was it. I walked out of there like, yeah, well, see what happens. They called me. The chair of the department called me an hour later, and he said, can you come in? I want to talk to you. I said, sure. So I go in, he brings me into the lab, and he said, it was a unanimous decision. They want you to have the job.
Wow.
And I'm like, and this is exactly what I said. Well, praise God.
Yeah.
Now look at this, right? This was in 2011. 2011, God wanted me to be a university professor. 2010, he had me put the things in place. He had me stumble onto these freebie website foolishness to just start doing
the freebie guy.
A freebie guy. And then learning about this blogging from this ebook that I found and and then start this biology website that was ready for 2011 when my dad got ill. And then I go down for him to show me that physical therapy, there's something there he needs me to explore. And then to come back and there's this job that I'm applying for that 30 people are applying for, all with PhDs and physical therapy degrees and all this stuff that I don't have. But he's put all these things in motion in my life to prepare me for what he had me do. Now, my dream job was to be a university professor. And God just lined this whole thing up. No PhD. Listen, I don't got a PhD, and I was unqualified for the job. I'm in this job. I'm drowning, for a while, trying to figure out what in the world I'm supposed to teach this stuff. It was crazy.
Oh my gosh.
But what God showed me is I don't need you to be qualified. I need you to be willing. And I don't need you to have everything in place. I got everything in place.
Yes.
I don't need you to have it all figured out because I know the plans that I have for you. And all things work together for your good to them that love him and were called according to his purpose. So,
mercy, Lord.
I'm in this job now. Yeah, just like Megan said, he qualifies the unqualified. Listen, I'd be the first to admit I was super unqualified for that job. Yo, sometimes I'm in front of the class and the students are looking at me like, no, that's not even right. And I'm like, it's not right? Oh, shoot.
All right, let's try it again.
Let's. All right, we'll come back to this part tomorrow when I go and I figure out what is going on.
It means.
Anyhow, I'm on this job, dream job, love my job, but there was a problem. Um, I was running around like a chicken without my head because I have this job at a doctoral level. This is teaching people that are getting their doctorates,
Right.
and it's intense. I'm finally getting the hang of it, but
Sure.
I have that going on. I have my biology blog. I have my the freebie guy blog and teaching people about blogging and all this kind of stuff. And I have zero time. So my wife and I had our son. And I keep saying, when we had our son, I felt as if my wife was a single mom. And that didn't feel
That's
right.
real. That's real.
Like,
Yeah.
like I gotta go to work, and when I finish, I gotta come home and work on this business. Because when we left Great Lakes Adventist Academy, she left her job and she went back to school. So now my income was the only income. So I had to do this other stuff. So I'm running in all these directions, and it feels like I can't do this because it's too much, and I just can't do it. There was a certain point where it kind of came to a head, and I'm like, listen, this is too much for me. Either I have to leave my job or I have to leave my business. I can't keep doing both of them. But I felt like I don't want to leave my job. This was my dream job, and I loved my job.
Yeah.
This is fun. I'm finally getting in the groove of things. I don't want to leave my job. And then I look at my business and I look at the impact that I'm having, the people's lives all over the world. And it's not just that I don't want to leave that, but I can't, because that impact is what I want to continue having.
Yeah.
So I went to Marguerite, and because I know what I was feeling inside.
Yeah.
And I said, I need to make a decision. We need to make a decision because this can't continue.
Yeah.
And she looked at me and she said, I think you should leave your job.
Woo. That's hard.
No. For me, I was like, yeah, no. That's all I need to hear. You think I should leave? And we prayed about this. And we felt, because actually what was happening then, now my mom was ill and she had breast cancer.
Wow.
And I went to be with her in Colombia once again for a short time, but then I had to get back to work. And there was so much going on there. So there's now my mom, there's the business, the other business, the job, and it couldn't continue.
Yeah.
So we felt like God was saying, it's time to move on. It's time for you to leave that secure job and go and do this business. Now, this business was not making a full-time income. This business wasn't even making a half-time income. We had no savings.
Wow.
Wait, first of all, I have to put a disclaimer here. In no way am I giving advice about how to deal with business and life and make these kinds of decisions. In no way am I telling anyone leave your job or anything of that sort. Please don't get that from this message. But at the time, we felt this is what God was calling us to do. Next day, I went in. I told my boss, hey, this is going to be my last year. I'll stay on to try to help with the transition, but then I'm done. Left my job June 30th, 2014. July 1, rent was due. And I'm like, oh shoot. We gotta get into hustle mode because I don't have rent.
Mercy.
I remember Marguerite coming to me, and she said, we need diapers. And I looked at her and I said, I know.
Oh my gosh. That's so real.
But what are we gonna use to buy it?
Wow.
Like, we don't even have that. Wow. So we started using cloth and wrapping it around the dude, washing that cloth, wiping his butt. And then, listen, it was rough. Wow. But I will say this. Within 4 months of leaving my job and focusing on my business, I had matched my salary as a university professor.
Wow. 4 months.
4 months. Woo! And then it just kind of went from there.
Look at God.
And things have evolved over time. And there've been a number of times along this journey where God has said, all right, now I need you to do this thing. Now, by this
Mm.
point, I'm like, listen, God, you obviously smarter than me. You obviously have a plan. I don't know.
What?
I don't know where you're leading me, but
Right.
okay. So there's this episode of Indiana Jones. I know. I feel it. It
You're
seems like I'm
dating
all over the
yourself.
place.
You're dating yourself.
If you don't know who Indiana Jones is, it's because you never watched good TV. Either that or I'm old. There's this episode of Indiana Jones where he had this thing in his head. He had to take a leap of faith.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Someone told him you have to take a leap of faith. And he
Mm.
comes and he comes and he comes and he runs and he's at the end of this cliff. And then he has to get to the other side and there's nothing in between,
Wow.
right? And he's like, oh shoot, what am I? It was on a time crunch. If you don't know Indiana Jones, shame on you. Anyhow, he's on a time crunch and he needs to get all the way over to the other side. And then he was like, oh no, what do I do? And then he was like, leap of faith.
Mm.
So then the dude did this thing. I must stand up for this one. I don't know how this is gonna work because anyhow, so leap of faith. And he's there at the edge of this cliff, right? And the dude was like, okay, leap of faith. He closed his eyes and he did this.
Carrie. And he
And then he just
stepped
went
out?
down like and when
Woo.
when he stepped down, all of a sudden this bridge appeared.
Wow.
And I like to
Woo.
when I think about my life, I think about it like that because God, like you're at the edge of this cliff, and God is like,
Yeah,
you
yeah,
see
yeah.
that thing over there? And I'm like,
Yes.
no, I don't see it. He's like, you need to get over there. And you need to trust that if you take that step, that thing is going to appear.
Yes. Yes.
Whatever that thing is. And I'm like, all right, we got to do it. Let's do it. He's doing that.
Stretch
And
that
he
leg.
Yeah. Now, me, if I was Indiana Jones before, I would have been kind of like, okay, leap of faith. Okay.
Yeah.
And
yeah,
let
yeah.
me-
Toe
and
faith.
Put a
faith.
toe, let me touch it.
A
Nah,
toe leap.
the dude leaped.
Wow. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
If there's one lesson I am learning is I don't know what my destination is.
Mm.
And quite frankly, I don't care to know what it is. And I don't even care to figure out what it is because
Yeah,
there's
yeah,
no
yeah.
way I could figure out, man, you know what? I'm not going to get this PhD. I'm going to start a blog and then I'm going to get this letter in the mail. And when this letter in the mail comes, I'm going to respond to the letter and do all this stuff. And that's how I'm going to get my job as a university professor. I can't plan.
There's no way.
There's no way.
you would have been able to make that up.
So why would I settle
Mercy.
for what I have in my mind?
Woo! Leslie.
Like, why? Why do that? When I could say, I know that all things work together for our good. And I feel God prompting me to go in this direction. All right, let's go. See what happens.
Yes.
That is what my journey has been like for the last
Wow.
7 or 8 or 9 years.
Crazy.
And that really is the essence of my story.
Wow. So 7 or 8 years. And are you ever going back to a traditional
No,
job?
never. Now, I say that with the caveat that I don't know what God has planned.
Right.
But God and I had a conversation, a few conversations, and I honestly don't feel that he wants me within the confines of a traditional job. I believe that what God has for me is outside of that. That doesn't mean having a traditional job is a bad thing,
Sure.
but I don't believe that that is my journey. And he is calling me for something. I'm not even going to say greater, but I'm going to say something different from that.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to let him do he's leading me to do some stuff now. And I'm like, woo, let's do it. Let's just go. Let's see what it is. Let's jump and see.
The leap of faith.
Leap of faith. But for me, that's so much more fulfilling. Like I could write a story, but if I write a story, it's just going to be within the confines of my limited imagination. And my limited imagination it can't get to where God is.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
let
yeah.
him do it, and then I follow along.
Wow. Wow. Listen, I'm inspired. So Leslie, so the first time, you know, when you've obviously shared this story publicly or parts of your
Mhm.
story, you know, how was it the first time you shared it, and what made you start sharing it? Like, what led you to that?
Yeah. So I can't tell you the one time that I started sharing it, because this is my philosophy when it comes to my story.
Yeah.
I believe that regardless of where I am on this journey, there's
Yeah.
someone that's one step behind me. And there's
Mm.
someone that's two steps behind me. There's someone that's 50 steps behind me.
Yes.
And at each point along this journey, I can share something that's of value to that person that's that one step or 50 steps or whatever
Yes.
steps. So, I
Right.
mean, I have a podcast, and as I've been going on this journey, I share the journey, like because people benefit from that. Like
Yeah.
there's so many things that God is doing in our everyday lives that
Mm.
just sharing that could help somebody else that's trying to figure out, they're going on a
That's
similar
real.
journey, and they're like, man, I don't know hey, this is what happened with me. I remember recording a podcast like, yo, man, I got to pay my bills. Like, I just left my job, and man, I got to pay my bills. So this is what I'm thinking that I'm going to be doing. We're going to start a membership. This membership, you can come in, you can learn about blogging. It's going to be $27 a month. And that's
What?
part of how we're going to make this thing happen. I'm going to help you in this way, yada, yada. People started signing up for the $27
Stop.
a month thing, and there's nothing on the other end of that. So now you got to create that. So you
That
start
is so
creating the
real.
stuff to give to the people that are paying $27 a month. Actually, I remember how it happened. I know
Oh
I
my
get anyhow.
gosh.
I
Yeah, yeah,
remember
yeah.
sending out the email announcing it's going to be $27 a month, and I'm only taking 20 people for the beta test group. And I remember
Sure.
going and taking a shower, and then coming back after the shower. I didn't even dress yet, just to see what happened,
What happened?
and 20 people bought. I was like, oh shoot, let me shut it
Oh
down really
my god.
quick. Literally, I'm making this stuff up
Oh
as I
my
go,
gosh. Look
and
at
just saying,
God.
hey, where next?
Yeah.
And that's how it's kind of evolved. So I've been sharing that story all along the journey
Wow.
because I believe there's value in
Yeah,
our
yeah,
stories.
yeah. And in the process, God had been preparing you along the way for these leaps of faith. It's
Absolutely.
crazy. It's
Absolutely.
crazy that we miss the fact that when God asked us to take a step, He's already almost always prepared us in some way, shape, or form. We may not see it, right? But He's already ordained some of these experiences to happen so that when you take it, right, to you, it's a leap of faith, and it grows us and it expands us. But to
Yeah,
God is like, man, I see the whole story. I see the
exactly.
whole story.
And it's funny to look back because, we're just talking about the last maybe 10 to 12 years, right, in
Yeah,
terms
yeah,
of
yeah,
this
yeah,
story.
yeah.
Um, But really, as I really look back and I see things even from my childhood and how those things prepared me for exactly what I'm
Yes,
doing today. And then the things
yes.
I could see now why he had me be a professor for 3 years and what I
Mm,
learned there and how that is applying to what I'm doing right now. I can see why he had me go and speak at all these conferences and so on. And now it's kind of
mm.
coming together because I'm doing my own conference, and like you can it all makes sense in retrospect. And what we do
Yes,
is we get caught up in the here and now. It's like, this
yes,
is not making
yes,
any sense. And
yes,
and the reality is it will at some point. How do I
yes.
know? Because all things work together for our
Yes,
good.
they do. Amen.
Like you can't that's like a law.
Yes,
That's
it's
like
a
a fact
promise.
of
It is a
it's a
promise.
promise. And because it's a promise and it's not a promise from me, that's a promise from God. You could take that to the bank.
Anywhere. Yes, I love it. You cash that thing in. Cash
Yep.
it in. I love that. If you have a question for Leslie, drop it in the comments. But Leslie, what have you been inspired to do as a result of these like leaps of faith? Share with us What has it inspired you to do?
Here's what it's inspired to me. It has inspired me, honestly, it has inspired me to want to get to know God like so much deeper. Because
Yeah.
here's what I realized, right? We go through our entire lives, we hear about God, we go to church, we study a little bit about God and so on. And yeah, we're in awe. God is amazing, yada, yada,
Yeah.
yada. Um, over the last this year, over the last year or so, I've actually shifted the way I do everything in business.
Okay.
Um, so what I do now is the bulk of my time is actually spent like literally with God. Like I wake up at 4:20 and then I come in here, I
Mercy,
have my
Lord.
Bible, I have the different resources that I use, and for about 3-4 hours I'm like just studying
Wow.
because I want to understand this God more. I
Yeah.
want to know him at a deeper level.
Mm.
And I want him to know that my life is in his hands and that he
Mm.
can do whatever with my life. This is going to sound kind of crazy.
Yes.
I've told God that you could do whatever you want with my life. You could give me anything you want. You could take everything away from me.
Yeah.
I told God, if you need to, you could take my family.
Mercy. That's hard.
I know. But I've literally told God, you can take my family if you feel that
Yeah.
that is working together for our good. Now, that
Whew.
for me defies logic
Yeah.
because no, dude,
Absolutely.
I love my family more than anything in the world, except I
Yeah.
do not love my family more than God.
Yeah.
So, the priority now in my business, in my life, I've said, I think I've always said, God first. But now I want that to be real.
Yeah.
And I'm making that real. And I'm asking him to
Yes.
make that real in my life.
Yes.
Now, here's why. Because when that's real in my life, and as it's becoming real in my life, because I see the ways that it is becoming real, you become more in tune with what he wants you to do. There's
Yes.
always that thing where, man, I wonder if this is God. I want to do this thing. I don't know if it's this, but but when you are in tune with him, it's like God is telling me to do this. All right, let's go and do it. God is telling me to do this.
That's
All
good.
right, well, it doesn't make sense, so let's do it because God
Yeah.
said it.
Yes.
That is what it has inspired me to do. It has inspired me to I've come to see in myself when there's something that I want to do and it feels so big that it makes me nervous and it freaks me out.
Yeah.
All right, that's one of those things that I need to take and give to
Give it to
him.
God.
And when I
Yeah.
give it to him, I ask him
Yes.
what to do with it. And then he shows me what to do with it. I don't got to worry anymore because you know
Yeah.
what? He's got that thing now. I'm
Yes.
straight. Like what
What
is
are you worrying
what
about?
is there
Yeah.
to worry about? A
Yeah.
pandemic? Listen. You telling me a
Talk about
pandemic
it.
is bigger than God?
Mm, 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 mm.
Like like no. That's not how this works.
Yeah.
No pandemic is bigger than God. No
Yeah.
a bill. I don't know how to pay my water bill, and that's bigger
What's
than
up?
God. Like,
Yes. It's
nah.
true. It's
So what
so
has it
true.
inspired me to do? It has inspired me to try to live all aspects of my life now like that.
Yes.
Do I do it
Yes.
perfectly? Absolutely not. But
Right.
that is what I am striving
That's your
towards.
aim.
And whatever comes out of that, I'm good with.
Yeah. That's good. Woo. And the peace that brings,
So
the
much
peace
peace.
that brings can't be it can't be topped. So Leslie, we do have a couple of questions that I don't want to miss here. So
All right, let's do it.
first question, besides the $27 sign up, how else did you monetize your knowledge?
Oh man, so many
That's
different
good.
ways. So I had that. This was way back in 2014. I had that monthly membership where people would get access to courses that I was creating, and they can come on coaching calls and so on. In addition to that, one of the other things that I did as soon as I left my job is I started offering one-on-one coaching, and that was at a higher price point.
Yeah.
So I would work with people one-on-one to help them build their blogs. Besides that, there are things that I promote every so often. There's a service that I use. I'm teaching people how to set up their blogs, and they need hosting. So if they use my link, I get a commission for that. I started working with different companies that needed consulting and helping them to do different things in their businesses. I do speaking. So sometimes I travel and I get paid to speak or MC and those kinds of things. There are a number of things that I do. Right now, it's focused on coaching. And coaching is the primary thing that I do. I still do some promotions. I'm getting ready to do my own conference, virtual conference in May, all about monetizing your message. So that's something else that I'm doing now. But I still work with certain companies, consulting with them and helping them with whether it is hosting some of their virtual events or just giving them, some suggestions on how they can do different things in their business. It's definitely multiple streams of income. But a few of them are like some of the primary streams of income.
Awesome. Leah asks, how do you, Leslie, differentiate the voice of God from your emotion/passion?
Oh, that is such a good one. So that to me is evolving over time. And not just that, I think there's a measure of faith that you have to employ. Here's what I mean by that. I go to God and I say, God, you can do whatever you want to do with my life. I trust you to do this with my life. I spend my time with God so that I could feel that connection. I'm earnestly trying to understand God, and I am earnestly begging him to do whatever he wants to do in my life and to lead me. Then I feel a prompting. Could this be God? Yes. Could this be my emotions? Yes. But I've asked God to lead me, and I believe that he will lead me. So I'm going to start walking in that direction. And here's the thing, right? Once you start walking in that direction, he can kind of readjust. Have you ever tried to move like to push a car? You can't. No. If you go in a car right now and you try to steer the wheel and it's not moving,
so difficult.
It is so difficult. But once you start moving that car, all of a sudden, hey, it can go in this direction. That's exactly what it's about. Start moving and trust that he is gonna lead you in the direction. All this second guessing and this doubt and no. That's when I do that, that's me saying, God, no, you can't lead me in the right direction.
Yes, you're not big enough to handle it.
You're not big enough. So I'm gonna stay right here and wait for God to tell me. And God is like, yo, get up and move. So walking. You get up, you move. You start walking. You ask God, is this right? You listen because you start getting promptings and you follow those promptings and you just keep going. God is and believe that he's going to do it.
Yes. I love that. I love that response. Crystal asks, I heard you on Clubhouse. Oh, so she heard you on Clubhouse. On Clubhouse talking about seek ye first the kingdom of God and all these things, etc. What does that look like for you in a practical way?
Oh, I was on Clubhouse and I said that? Oh, cool.
That's what you said, right? I don't know what I say.
Yeah, no, I don't know what I say when I say things. I didn't know what I was saying when I came on here, and I was freaking Leilani out before I came on. Seek ye okay, so what does that mean? Seek ye first in a practical way. Let me tell you what that means for me. It literally means I wake up at 4:20 in the morning. I come in here. I am there. My kids wake up at around 6 o'clock. I'm here until 6 o'clock. I do some stuff with them as they start getting ready for school and yada, yada, yada. And then I come back and I continue studying. I'm literally seeking, like, earnestly for hours and hours every single day, to the point now where if I don't spend that time, I feel like something is lacking.
Mercy.
Literally lacking. That's what it looks like for me. And it varies. Sometimes I go for a walk at 5 o'clock in the morning and I'm just talking to God and I'm like, yo, this is what's going
That's
on.
real.
Yeah. And I'm trying to figure this thing out and so on. I've come to a place now where, I have I'm connected to a lot of people that know a lot about marketing, know a lot about social media and
Yeah.
building successful business. And I started to realize that I was relying more on those people than I was relying on God.
Wow. Whew.
And, God kind of checked me on that because I won't even tell you how much money I've invested on coaching in the last year for people to guide me in my business. And I was just getting ready to sign up for some more coaching. And God was like, listen, can I be a coach? And I was like, yeah, you could be my coach. And I remember meeting with the guy again. I was like, hey, listen, I was really considering working with you. But then God was like, I want to be your coach. And I was like, I mean, you could talk to him.
But you can't top God.
Yeah. Like, I literally told him,
Oh,
hey,
mercy.
I think you're pretty smart and you're really good at what you do, but I don't think you're better than God. So for right now, I am just don't invest in coaching. I disagree with that.
He didn't say that. He didn't say that, Dan.
Didn't say that. I think coaching is one of the most valuable things in the world today.
Right.
But for the stage that I'm at right now,
yeah.
God needs to do some work.
Yeah.
Let me tell you a quick story. And I shared this on social media the other day. There's this big thing that I'm doing an event next month.
Yeah.
Details to come. Virtual event. And I'm doing it in such a way it's bigger than anything else I've ever done. I'm investing more. I'm doing it in a way like what anything I could imagine I'm doing for this event.
Yeah.
And I started to freak out about it. And then I decided, you know what? This is too much. I need to put this thing in God's hand.
Yeah.
This was last week. And I put it in God's hand. The next day I woke up at 4:13. I'm like, yo, what's going on? I wake up at 4:20. I need my 7 minutes.
It makes a difference.
Yeah, it really does. The next day I wake up at 4:13. I'm like, nah, come on. This is foolishness. I really want my sleep. Crazy. The next day I wake up at 4:13 again. And I'm like, nah, this is crazy.
Yeah.
Eventually I decided, you know what, I'm gonna get out of bed. And as soon as I put my foot on the ground, something told me Philippians 4:13. And I'm like, Philippians 4:13?
Wow.
And I forgot what it was. So I went to Google. I was like, Philippians 4:13. And it said, I could do all things through Christ who gives me strength.
Wait a second. I just caught the fact that it was Philippians 4:13 and he woke you up. He's been waking you up at
4:13 for days.
My mind.
And when that happened, I was like, all right, God, you got this. Let's do this. We're going to do this thing. It's going to be amazing. So what does it look like in a practical way? It literally means seek ye first the kingdom of God. That's really what it means. And whatever that, you study the word, you spend that time, you make that first. Like, take your family and put them on the back burner, relatively speaking, when it comes to God.
Yeah.
And see what he does. Yeah. Because he's going to do amazing things.
Yes.
I guarantee you that he's going to do a better job than anything else you can think about.
Yes, absolutely.
That's it. That's what it looks like to me.
Absolutely powerful. Yes, thank you. Man, wow. Adrian's probably making a joke. So yeah, I get what he's saying. Yesterday I woke at 9:15 was so rough. Pretty much the same situation for us.
Yes, same thing. Yeah.
Same thing. Oh man, Leslie, I just can't thank you enough for being willing to come and share your story. And
Absolutely.
I'm just excited to see what's happening next. And I'm excited personally to come to your event. So when that happens, I need to know. So you're going to put it out there. Follow him. And I'm sure you'll have it up on your website and your Facebook pages. But yes, Adrian, hashtag seek
Seek
first.
That's what it's about.
Seek first, and all things work together.
And don't
for your
listen.
good.
Listen. Okay, I gotta say this.
Yeah.
I've come to believe that the Bible, it just means what it says.
Yeah.
Like, if you think about the words, it's very simple.
Yeah.
Seek first
Yes.
God's kingdom. Like, that's your
Yes.
priority. This is where you go. This is where it
Yes.
starts. This is where it begins. This is where it ends. This is
Yes.
everything.
Yes.
But listen, the devil wants you too busy for that. The devil wants you to be so caught up in your job, so caught up doing good things, so caught up in your ministry.
Woo.
The devil wants you so
Yeah,
caught up in your
yeah.
ministry that you can't seek first God's kingdom.
Yeah.
You can't do it because you're too busy doing all this good. Yeah, but this person needs this help. That person needs this help. This person, I need to do this for sister so-and-so. I need to do this for brother so-and-so.
Listen.
The devil actually wants that.
Yes.
Because he knows that if he can get you so tired and
Yes.
exhausted that you have no time to seek first, he's got you.
Seek the most important thing.
That's what he wants.
Listen, we could be on this topic all day.
Yeah,
Okay,
don't get me started.
Okay,
and
last
something.
thing-
Do
last
something
thing-
to finish
last
this.
Last thing I'll say to your point. It reminds me of Mary and Martha when Jesus comes and Mary is sitting at his feet and Martha is going crazy planning for this event, trying to host. And Jesus says to her, he says, listen, she is doing the right thing. Right. And it's crazy because at no point in time did he get at Martha for being who she was. Right. She was a host. She was a planner. She cared about these things. But he said Mary is doing the right thing, not the better thing. Right. And so it's that concept, the idea that, listen, you can do that. You can host. You can be amazing. You can have your gifts. You can have your talents. He knows who you are. But if you're not seeking me, if you're not sitting at my feet, then what direction? How will you know where to go? How will you know how to move? Listen. All right. Listen, we exchange good for great because we could be here. We could be here all night.
We could.
Leslie, we have
yeah.
a couple people saying they want to come to the event. Can I come to the event? I'm gonna say yes because it's
so I'm gonna
virtual,
go
right?
ahead and listen. I've never made. So here's what I'm gonna say. If you are thinking I might want to be at this event, you absolutely need to be at this event.
Yes.
And I'm saying that with absolute confidence. Here's why I'm saying this with absolute confidence. Because a number of things that have happened that have shown me that this event is not about me. This event is for the people that God has placed me on this earth to serve right now. And the idea behind the event is, how do you monetize your message? And there's a spoiler alert. For me, it's not about the money. However, I believe that so many of us have these messages that we want to share, but we can't fully share them because we have to do all of this other stuff in order to make money.
Yes.
And we get so busy and wrapped up in all of this other stuff. This thing that we're doing over here, it's just ministry, or it's just to help people and all that good stuff. Ministry is great. Helping people is great. But what if you could actually make a living doing that thing that you feel God has put in your heart to do?
Talk about
if you could, and I don't want to make it sound like I'm saying, hey, there's this magic secret, you do it, and now all of us. No, listen, I started my business in 2008, and I worked like a dog. And then I left my business. I left my job in 2014 and I couldn't pay rent.
Mercy.
But think about it, 2008 to 2014, 6 years of ridiculously hard work. So much work that at times it felt like I was going crazy. So I want you to
Wow.
understand that it's not an easy thing that I am
Yeah.
going to be teaching.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I don't want, you go to these websites and it's like, do this and no money and no experience and make
Yeah,
$7,682.52
we know.
in 30 days. No, it really isn't about that. But if
Hmm.
this concept resonates
Yeah, yeah,
with you,
yeah.
the event is going to be next month from the 23rd to the 25th. I don't have a website for it up yet. We're
Yeah, yeah,
working on
yeah.
that, but just follow me on Facebook and trust me, you'll hear everything about it if you're following me.
Perfect. So I am Leslie Samuel on Facebook and all social media platforms, correct?
Yeah,
And you can
yeah, Leslie Samuel, or I am Leslie Samuel. I am Leslie Samuel on the different social media
yes.
platforms. Anywhere you want to connect with me,
And look out for that
you'll hear about
event.
it.
Yes, look out for that event and more information on it May 23rd to 25th because I know I'm going to be there and at least two others are going to be here. Yes, Instagram and Facebook and
Everywhere.
Twitter. You are everywhere. I think you have a TikTok too. Like you're on social media.
Hey, maybe it has to be at 4:13.
But maybe.
Marcy says, like that.
So Leslie, thank you so much for inspiring us tonight. I'm going to send you backstage and we will chat soon. Thank you so much for being here. Guys, listen, I know you were inspired because I am inspired. I am energized and ready to continue to walk in faith, knowing that God is going to show me the next step. And I know he's going to show you the next step. Listen, I want you to join me next week as we connect with Noemi and Charles Kamek as they share their story of how God brought them together in a miraculous way. I can't wait to share that with you guys next week. Like, share, and subscribe. And listen, I just want to remind you that your purpose is found in knowing, owning, and sharing your story. So here's the question. The question is, are you ready to share your story? See you next week.